Everybody, we have some breaking news about the fourth stimulus check that I want you to know. President Biden and Congress are now developing a plan for how to restart student loan payments. The Senate is ready to vote on the new sweeping bill that was just proposed by Congress. This week could be the last dance for federal voting rights legislation. And Chuck Schumer is moving to set up a vote on the Freedom to Vote Act, which is likely to take place Wednesday.
In terms of Social Security, Mr. President, let me be very clear. Despite what folks on TV may be saying and some politicians may be saying, let us be very clear. Social Security is not going broke. Let me repeat. Social Security is not going broke. Today, Social Security has a surplus in the trust fund of $2.76 trillion. Now,
the good news is this, folks. The Biden administration is also developing plans for how it will restart federal student loan payments early next year, when the crisis pause on monthly payments for tens of millions of Americans ends. The Education Department is eyeing proposals that would give borrowers new flexibility as they face student loan bills for the first time in nearly 2 years. Such an initial grace period for missed payments and documents show.
First, we're only going to have to take a few questions. We had a very spirited discussion at our lunch, passionate, strong, and there was universal agreement in that room that we have to come to an agreement, and we got to get it done and want to get it done this week. There's lots of meetings going on. The president's meeting regularly with people. Probably the president, the speaker, and I just talk now about once a day, and there'll be all kinds of meetings together and separately.
Officials are looking at policies to make it easier for millions of borrowers to remain enrolled in income-based repayment programs to avoid a sudden increase in their monthly payment amount. And the Biden administration is actively considering a sweeping plan to expunge defaults of borrowers who are struggling even before the crisis. The plans, some of which are still in progress, are not finalized and are aimed at averting potential surge in delinquencies when payments resume in February, which the Biden administration announced in August. Turning back on the federal government's massive $1.6 trillion student lending apparatus, largely been frozen for 2 years in an unprecedented logistical challenge for the Education Department. It's also full of political pitfalls as progressives urge the administration to focus on widespread debt forgiveness rather than resuming payments.
Looking to achieve is a unified path forward on a package that will address the climate crisis, that will address the care challenges for families, whether they are elder care, the cost of child care, community college, universal pre-K, and we're working to make sure we're competitive around the world by putting people back to work. We're talking about what that final package looks like and what can get the most votes to get it across the finish line. And in those conversations, we're making progress and coming closer toward a path forward. So that's what we mean by making progress.
More than 40 million federal student loan borrowers have benefited from the Education Department's pause on interest and monthly payments that began in March 2020. The Biden administration most recently extended the relief through the end of January, which officials have insisted was the last reprieve. And also, everybody, we have the good news. Everybody, let's get into the most important stimulus news first. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Brand new checks have been approved by several state governors, so more Americans can receive additional financial relief as they continue to recover from the crisis. As the U.S. confronts rising inflation, slower job gains, and a crippled supply chain, a new study finds that the Americans most in need of a stimulus check continue to suffer the most. Now, economic security was also a common thing among middle earners. The study found that debt levels were higher for 1 in 5 respondents in spring of 2021 than before the crisis. For many Americans, finding the money for looming mortgage, credit card, and utility bills is a monthly cycle. The study found that in April of 2021, 46% of lower earners said they would have to come up short in paying their expenses without the stimulus money. So the good news is this. In September, a nonpartisan advocacy group, the Senior Citizens League, warned that the cost of goods and services is rising for people with fixed incomes, months before next year's federal cost of living bump.
How can there be real progress if you're not all in the same?
Well, I think, look, I want to just remind everybody that the House has a Build Back Better Act that had the vast majority of us, progressive, moderate, whatever you want to call us, all agreed to. And so we really are talking about just a couple of people that were not there, and we understand that the margins are slim, so we need to get there. And so I think it's fine for the president to have smaller meetings with different groupings of people. I think that's a good thing. It doesn't mean that we're not all talking to each other separately as well. So I think we're in a good place.
No agreement on a bottom line number, though.
Well, I mean, the president has consistently laid out a number that is somewhere between 1.9 and 2.2, and I think, look, it's not the number that we want. We have consistently tried to make it as high as possible, but at the end of the day, the idea that we can do these programs, a multitude of programs, and actually get them going so that they deliver immediate transformational benefits to people is what we're focused on.
Did the president shed any light on his meetings this morning with Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, since you talked about those being two people that have not come to the agreement?
He just said he's working very hard with them, and he feels like he's going to try to get us to resolution, and went through some of the things he knows are important to us in terms of what he's fighting for in the bill.
Did he say, just to follow up, did he say if they were on board with that 1.9 to 2.2 number yet?
I think that's what he's working to get everybody to. I mean, that's the number he's still putting out there, and I think that's the number that he's continuing to work with.
Is the idea still to sort of cut down time on some of these programs, or are you having conversations about cutting programs sort of whole cloth?
The president has agreed with our strategy that the majority of our caucus put out some time ago, which is we would like to see more of
Economic experts estimated recent increases in inflation. Now, the Senior Citizens League is mounting a campaign to urge Congress to pass a fourth round of stimulus checks that would send $1,400 payments to Social Security recipients only. Now, I personally support this bill, everybody. I think that President Biden should also send out more stimulus payments and help out the American people. It's definitely a must. If you guys agree, then let's get this video to 1,000 likes.
Consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to oppose the nearly $5 trillion spending package the Democrats have tied together. This package would massively expand the role of the federal government into the lives of every American, and it would significantly raise taxes on people and businesses in Michigan. There's no doubt we need to invest in roads, bridges, runways, harbors, and rural broadband, but tax increases in this package will make America less competitive. We need a tax structure that attracts businesses so that there are more jobs in America, more products are made here, and our supply chains are more secure. This $5 trillion spending package will do just the opposite. It will raise taxes, make our country less competitive,